going on, Dragon Ball Z fans? We are back once again. The Saiyan Brotherhood is here. UnrealEntGaming, the COD Brothers Gaming, here today bringing you guys our top 5 most vicious and dangerous villains of all time in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, excluding Dragon Ball GT, of course. And myself and Paul, we have two very different lists. I have my top 5 most dangerous villains, and he has his. So before we go into this, what I want to say is the fact that we're not only basing this off of power, but we're basing this off of motives and characteristics. So I guess I'll name my 5th guy, and then you'll name your 5th guy. I'll name my 4th, you name your 4th, and stuff like that. So we both have top 5s. So beginning with mine, number 5 for me would have to be Janemba. Now, the reason why I chose Janemba as number 5 is because he's tri-dimensional. He can actually travel through dimensions, and I feel as if he is very, very ruthless. And obviously, I don't think that he's dumb enough to do something as insane as some of the other characters are, but I do think that he's very cunning. And as we saw in the movie Fusion Reborn, he was able to pretty much manipulate his environment to where he was able to catch Goku off guard. And he was able actually to create a sword and pretty much like just, you know, summon this sword through this energy blast he emitted from his mouth. So I think number 5 is Janemba for me because not only is he a very ruthless character, but he's able to manipulate the environment around him, and I think that gives him the edge. So, Mr. COD Brothers Gaming, what is your 5th choosing for your top 5?
For me, you picked a good choice there with Janemba because of his fighting style and everything. I would say Broly. Now, before everybody goes off in the comments, the reason why I chose him is because there's actually some correlation between him and like the legends of the Super Saiyan that actually add up in the show. And he does live up to the hype of Saiyans being a Super Saiyan being a killing machine. And this is what it is to truly be legendary. And the fact that Frieza ordered his death, or was it King Vegeta that ordered his death at birth? That tells you that this is something to fear because they can't even control this creature that they've created.
So we have Broly for Paul. I have chosen Janemba because he's interdimensional. He can manipulate his environment. Paul has chosen Broly
Captain Cook
of the fact that he's a savage. So so far we have number 5 is Janemba and Broly. Number 4, at least for me, I would have to say Frieza. Now the reason why I chose Frieza as my 4th member on my list is because Frieza is a very intelligent fighter, and Frieza is a planet trader. He's very cunning in what he does, and I think Frieza is very dangerous. Sometimes I would say more dangerous than Janemba because I don't think Janemba would be willing to, you know, pretty much destroy himself to destroy an enemy like Frieza. And as we've seen dozens of times before in Resurrection F and in the original Dragon Ball series, Frieza was willing to destroy the planet that he was on to make sure the other person died. And Frieza, I believe, is a master of manipulation, and he's able to manipulate you with his words and through his actions, and he instills fear in your heart before the fight even begins. So I would have to say Frieza is number 4 for me just because he's willing to sacrifice himself and survive to prove a point. So who is on your number 4 list?
For me, for number 4, it would probably be Frieza's brother, Cooler.
Okay, we have a clash of the brothers. Why Cooler?
Because prior to Resurrection F, he was the one that surpassed Frieza technically. He was like, I found a form through training that Frieza couldn't achieve. And that was so badass because it's one of the coolest looking forms ever. And that's honestly what I hoped that Frieza would have achieved with the mask and everything that can lock up and looks like an assassin. Design-wise, he looks badass. And secondly, in the Metal Cooler Frieza, the Metal Cooler movie, he basically won the fight. He had an army of himself. The only reason he lost is because he decided to put Goku within an arm's reach of him and gets blasted. So
I think Cooler and Frieza. Okay, I see your point on Cooler. He actually found a form that was beyond that of his brother. But obviously Goku was able to defeat him in Super Saiyan form just as he did with Frieza. So we have Frieza for number 4 and we have Cooler for number 4 on our respective lists. Going into our number 3. Now number 3 for me on my top 5 personally is going to have to be none other than Perfect Cell. Now, Cell is, I would say, the most intelligent fighter on my top 5 list because he has the DNA cells of not only the Saiyans, but he has Piccolo, he has Frieza. So I think Cell is a master of fighting as well because whatever you do, I believe personally, to Cell, that would be to the point of damaging him, he would remember that, and he would pretty much learn that of his own. For example, right, when Goku instant transmission him to King Kai's planet and the planet blew up and Cell came back, Cell actually learned the instant transmission technique because one of his nucleus cells was still alive, and he was able to remember. And not only that, but given the fact that he has the DNA cells of a Saiyan in him, he grew, absolutely even stronger than he was before. He came back with a vengeance. So I don't think Cell is to the point where he's willing to like blow himself up in the planet just to prove a point. Although I do believe that Cell is a very just torturous fighter. I think he would beat the crap out of you before he killed you, as seen before when he beat Vegeta down, when he beat Trunks up, when he was beating up Goku. Like, I think Cell personally would love to torture you first before he actually ended your life, therefore making him one of the most dangerous fighters, at least on my list. Some people may differ, but on my top 5, I would have to say number 3 comes in for Perfect Cell. So who's number 3 on your list?
I would actually have to agree with you there. The fact that if you beat Cell up enough, he could potentially be stronger than a god if you actually manipulated his cells. And plus the fact that he has the Saiyan ego in him, so technically he is part Saiyan, and mainly he takes a lot from Vegeta over there, trying to beat down your ego until you're nothing, and then he'll kill you.
Exactly. So I think that what makes him dangerous is the fact that he's very overconfident. So he knows where he stands. Even if you're more powerful than he is, as seen before when he was going to blow himself up against Gohan, he was obviously going to come back stronger, and he was going to learn whatever happened on Earth, and therefore making him more of a dangerous fighter than ever before if he had the chance to survive. So I would have to say Cell, and on your list, obviously you're going to have to go with Cell. So going into our top 2, number 2 on my list would have to be none other than Kid Buu, because obviously he is not the most intelligent fighter, but I think on this list he is incredibly dangerous because of the fact that he isn't stable. His mentality, his way of thinking is just absolutely blank. Like, he does not care. As we saw in Dragon Ball Z, when he was looking for Goku and Vegeta, he was blowing up planet after planet after planet, and he didn't really care who he killed nor if he destroyed himself. All he wanted to do was, number 1, entertain himself, and number 2, look for the Saiyans. So imagine if he came across, someone like, Beerus or Whis, and he wasn't able to get a hold of them. He would literally go through an entire solar system just to find them, and he would destroy millions of lives out there just so for him to go on ahead and find his overall objective. So Kid Buu is just a very menacing creature. We saw what he did to Vegeta. We saw what he did to Goku. We saw what he did to Buu, especially with Vegeta. Do you remember that scene where Goku was charging up the Spirit Bomb, and Kid Buu caught on to what Goku was doing, and he kept holding Vegeta down because he knew that Goku wasn't going to throw the bomb because his friend was right underneath his foot. So that's why I think Buu is just very manipulative, like in terms of battle, because he would come to the realization like on what you're doing, because obviously he figured out what Goku was trying to do. So but amongst my top 5 list, my top 5 list, excuse me, he is the most insane creature, I mean, by far. So who is number 2 on your list?
I agree with you on that one as well, simply because every other villain up until this point just basically talked about destroying these planets. Kid Buu didn't give any shits about any of that.
He went in there and he just did it.
Planet after planet after planet, he lived up to what he was meant to do, and he wasn't about just talking and talking and talking. There was no filler when he was blowing up that shit.
Absolutely not. No, he went in there and he just raw dogged those planets. So for me, it's Buu. For you, it's Buu. Now, going into our number 1 list. Now, this may differ from both you and I. Number 1 on my list is going to have to be Super Buu Gohan Absorbed, for the simple fact that he has the intelligence of Piccolo. He has the fighting capabilities of Ultimate Gohan, Gotenks, and Majin Buu. Even though he wasn't able to fare up against Vegito, we saw what he was able to do against them when he was trying to tear dimensions apart, especially that scene where he was like pretty much raising his arms up in the air. He was screaming, and his screams alone were able to like tear the fabrics of like the sky, and like you could see like through dimensions. It was absolutely nuts. And Vegito was like, he's gonna destroy the planet if I don't stop him. So obviously, and the fact that regeneration plays a factor, so he's not as dumb as Kid Buu, because he knows pretty much his limit, and he knows how far he would go to prove a point against Vegito, for example. I think that if Kid Buu were to fight Vegito, I think Kid Buu would blow the planet up and take himself along with it, whereas opposed to Super Buu, I think that Super Buu would much rather try to torture Vegito before he actually killed him, and then blow the planet up, as we saw with that giant energy attack that he launched at him before Vegito launched it right back at him. So number one on my list is Super Buu Gohan Absorb, because he's smart, he's very freaking powerful, man. I mean, minus the gods, minus Goku in his god form and stuff like that, minus Vegito, he was by far the most dangerous entity that was there, pretty much. I mean, and if worse comes to worse, he could turn you into chocolate and he could eat you. Literally, if he won't kill you physically, he'll eat you alive. What other enemy is going to eat you alive? Kid Buu, I believe at least, Kid Buu never really ate anybody. He just absorbed them. Super Buu Gohan Absorbed, he would eat you. He would turn you into candy, chocolate cake, and he would gobble you up. So who is number one on your list?
All right, so this one, it kind of varies, but it's your choice is the strongest character in DBZ history, beside not counting Super. For me, it would be Majin Vegeta.
Majin Vegeta. Okay, why is that?
Because of the build-up between this fight and all of the anger in Vegeta, showing that he has had the most character development throughout the entire series, and this is exactly 200 episodes after their first fight. They decide to have one final clash, which we might actually get rewritten in Super, like one final clash with the God forms. But still, this fight was one of the greatest scenes ever, and on top of that, like, just the rage that you saw from Vegeta and all of the fighting styles that they brought out, I don't know, I felt like this had the most backstory and build up to anything in the series thus far. And plus, if you want to talk about knowledgeable fighters, Vegeta was probably the most knowledgeable fighter at this point, and maybe in the entire series, because he studies everybody's moves very, very carefully.
So you're saying that amongst all of your fighters on your top 5 list, Vegeta ranks at number 1.
Because that fight had the most heart, yeah. Basically.
Well, there you guys have it. I have my top 5 list. Paul has his. Let us know down below your top 5 most dangerous villains in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z down below. Obviously, I'm going to repeat mine right now. I had from 5 to 1, I have Janemba, Frieza, Perfect Cell, Kid Buu, and Super Buu. Paul, what were yours?
Mine was Broly, Metal Cooler. You what was your 3 and 2?
Perfect Cell.
Perfect Cell, and then Kid Buu,
and then Majin Vegeta. Let us know down below, guys, on who your top 5 favorite villains of all time are. The most dangerous, of course. And once again, everybody, thank you all for watching. If you guys are Dragon Ball fans, don't forget to subscribe for all the latest news, information, updates, and top 5 lists. If you guys enjoyed, smash that like button. If you guys differ from our opinions, of course, these are our opinions, comment down below on who you think is the most dangerous and why. We are very curious to know what you guys have to say, because some people out there will actually say, well, maybe it's Huruga, maybe it's Super Android 13, maybe it's Lord Slug, maybe it's, you know, the evil King Piccolo. I mean, hey, so let us know down below, guys. Once again, thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more, because we have a lot more discussions coming towards your guys' way. Once again, thank you all for watching, and we'll be seeing you all later, guys. Take it easy. Peace!